Identity. Creativity versus industry. You're looking for the balance of the two things, aren't you? You do get these teams who zip it about and it's all about the flair and the panache and the way that they play. Some teams ain't got those sort of players, and so they build around a different method. They're the industrious teams who work hard, they're tough to break down. It depends on what players you've got, doesn't it? What I'm seeing with Wednesday, I think we've actually got quite a few of those players, especially in our back four. I thought Palmer was actually quite good yesterday, made a couple of really good blocks. Again, a bit of an unsung one, Liam Palmer this year, but you've got to find the method that best suits your players. Now, for me, our best results this season have been Rotherham, when I thought Rotherham were the better side, really battled to victory. And again, that's substance over style. It was our industry that got us through that game. It was our desire, it was our strong shape and work ethic that got us through that game. The second half yesterday, it was a great performance, but the last 15-20 minutes, although it's a very hard watch, it's that rigidity, that shape, the people throwing the bodies in front of the ball. Like Palmer's made a great block on the line. Bannon made a great block with his hand. But that is substance. That's not style. That's nothing to do with style. That's to do with work ethic and desire and working as a unit to stop that breakthrough. And we look good defending that. We look our weakest defensively when we've got the ball. So I think it's striking that balance and saying, what are your players good at? Now, in terms of an attacking style, I'm not particularly sure what our attacking style is, because our best goals have come on the counter-attack. There's the goal that Camberi scores against Rotherham is a really good ball. The one goal, gets a loose ball, he's 20 yards into our half. A nice big stretch ball out to Patterson, out-muscles his man, and across. We scored a goal yesterday. Ball over, Hunt bombing on, drilled first time sort of half volley across the 6-yard line. If they're the places where we're scoring our goals, why would we be insistent on playing this short passing game around at the back? If your best goals come on them counter-attacking, forays into the opposition box, then set up as a counter-attacking team. Set up with your back four and your 4 or your 5 in front of them, whatever it is, and sit it and soak it and play on the counter-attack. And some fans won't like that, because you don't like it when you've seen the opposition come at you in wave after wave. But if it's effective, people will still change a tune. If you're playing counter-attacking football and winning 1-0 away from home every week, people will soon start to like that. Alternatively, if you want to be a stylish team, then you've got to go out and attack teams with flair and pace and power. Have constant movement, people moving from position to position and keeping the ball moving slick with the little 1-2s and the balls around the corner and do that. And that's another way of playing, and that's great as well. But what we seem to be doing is a little bit of neither. A little bit of both and a little bit of neither. We're not attacking at pace. The movement isn't particularly very good. There's no real link play. And yet on the other hand, in defence, we're not keeping it tight like that. We're knocking the ball about and inviting that. We're actually quite spread and trying to get the ball going like that and leaving ourselves exposed. So I think we're in a bit of it's like a bastardised thing. And I think we've got to ask the question, or the manager's got to ask the question, do we want to play a stylish, creative, possession-based style of football? Because if you do, it's going to be a lot quicker and the movement's going to be a lot better. Or do we want to just be a hard, industrious working side that can slam teams on their break? But you've got to do the one that best suits your players. And that's up to him to find out. I look at the squad as an outsider, and I actually think, I look at the midfield players we've got, I look at Bannon, I look at Byers, I look at Wing, Shadipo, Berahino. I look at these players and I think we should be able to go out and force ourselves on teams. I think we should be able to go out, play on the front foot and attack teams and go for it with pace and verve and vigour. If you're not going to do that, then you've got to go the other way. But what we're trying to do is, I think we're trying to do that, but very, very slowly. And I cannot see that method being effective in getting promotion from this division. Now, we're actually only a point outside the playoffs because we have been nicking these wins. And there is, obviously, you can look at it and say we've had some bad luck. Obviously, Peacock Farrell has dropped 4 bollocks in 6 games. That's cost us points. Is it bad luck if he keeps getting selected? That's a decision. It's not bad luck that he kept being selected, is it? No, that's bad luck. His name's fell onto the team sheet. No, that's not bad luck. That's a conscious decision to pick that player. So we have had some bad luck, but I think we've also had some good luck. There's an handball yesterday that you can say Bannon can't get out of the way of that, but that don't matter in modern football, does it? That don't matter in modern football. Seen them given. So we've had a bit of luck, but we've had a little bit of luck against us as well. You make your own luck. You know, Sven Eriksson, when he was England manager, they've been a bit unlucky. Well, there's a man who tried and defend a 0-0 with one of the best generations of talent we've ever had. If you invite pressure for 90 minutes, bad luck there, and it's gone in off defender's knee. Well, you know, if opposition are getting 40 or 50 shots in, eventually you're going to have a little bit of bad luck, aren't you? Because the law of averages. I mean, that is luck, isn't it? That's where luck... Look at the law of averages. Luck comes from that. That's a bit unlucky. But it's happened 50 times, so one of them was going to go against you, weren't it? Eventually, you weren't going to get away with it. So is that bad luck? If you're continuously doing the same things over and over again, and then you get punished for it, a bit of bad luck there. Is it? Is it bad luck? If I keep gaffer taping round a cable instead of just chopping end off and rewiring it, and eventually I get electrocuted, that's bad luck. But if I've just been taping that cable for 10 years, it's not really bad luck, is it? I've actually been lucky to be getting away with it for as long as I have. I also want to talk about, it's the old chicken and egg question of the support in the ground, the library, whatever, however we want to say it. There is this ongoing issue that Hillsborough has been quiet for a number of years. Now there's a wider debate about whether standing areas, and they all seem to put paid to that, because I've been in Hillsborough when it's been absolutely electric, but when I look at it, most of those times were when there was standing terrace behind the goal. That's a wider debate. In terms of generally though, we've got 20,000 fans. Now not all of them are going to be boisterous or the type of people who want to sing or shout. But everybody, and I mean everybody, when the team is going for it, when the team is showing some attacking intent, everybody, no matter how quiet, starts making their way towards the edge of the seat, and even the smallest kid to the oldest granny, come on! That starts happening when you show the intent. It's very hard to do that before the game's kicked off, especially, like I said, especially when you're sat, you see you're chatting with your mates. It's sort of, you're not like, it's kick off now, I'll just start randomly, come on Wednesday. I mean, you always get one, usually sat near me, but it's up to the team to get the crowd going, and when they do, that crowd will keep going. I'm just going to show you a little comment. It's a little quote. It's very interesting, and it's one that I happen to fully agree with. Now you'll have to forgive me because I can't do a Birmingham drawl, but here we go. Carlton Palmer, one of our better players. The gaffer always used to say to us, go out and give it the full gun for the first 5 minutes and get them lot going. They'll back you the rest of the game. And I think that's true. I do think it is up to play. There was a couple of moments yesterday, both from Berahino, funnily enough. There's one when he closes down a fullback, nudges him off the ball, just goes and presses him. Folks start taking interest. There's a bit of their goalkeepers fanning about, edge of the box, under no pressure. He almost breaks ranks and just goes, I'm going to go on, son. Everybody starts going. We get a corner out of it. I think it was a corner or through. I think it was a corner. And suddenly the crowd are lifted. But that's one player just making one decision to, you know what, I'm just going to go. Now, you could say that is him failing the plan. You could say that, why is he not doing the job he's been told to do? We haven't been told to do that, but it lifts the crowd, and when the crowd lifts, suddenly you see the players lift. There's a moment, the second half, where Barry Bannon's urging the Cobb. Intent on the pitch will get the fans going, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle of positive energy. But I'm afraid, and I really, really like Darren Moore, I really do, and he seems like a positive guy to me, but I'm afraid seeing meat and drink centre halves like Dunkley and Iorfa looking nervously as they're passing the ball between them across our 18-yard line, that's not going to get the fans going, and in turn it's not going to get the players going. Nervousness spreads like a disease, and if you've got someone who's really good at heading, really good at tackling, really good at block tackling, really good at thundering into people, really good at getting up in air, really good at the physicality of the game, and you're saying, what I want you to do is, in slow motion, receive the ball, have a look up, and as their centre forwards are herring in, closing it down, because teams have wised up to what we're doing, and they are, they're not sitting off, they're herring in and closing it down. As he's herring in and closing it down, I want you then to find a lovely little pass to your mate. It's nervousness inducing. It's nervous for the players, because clearly they're not all comfortable doing that, and it's nervous for the fans. If we're going to persist in doing that, we may as well play Hutchinson at one side centre half and play midfield at the other. We may as well just play midfielders across the back forward if we're going to do it at that pace. We've got no problem with playing out from the back. Played out from the back with other players who weren't fantastic on the ball. Nigel Pearson wasn't a great footballer as such, technically a great footballer in terms of knocking the ball about, pinging the ball around like Johan Cruyff, was he? But when we've played the ball out previously like that, we've done it quick, at pace. Bang, bang, bang. A lot of that's got to do with a movement in midfield. You've got to have the available options, haven't you? But it's the pace. It's the slow. I've got no problem with possession football. Fantastic. Look at Barcelona when Pep were there. That's glorious possession football. But it was like watching a swarm of bees. A, they tried to attack. That's the most important thing. B, they tried to win it back further up the pitch. I don't want to get into a side debate about how hard Messi and Iniesta and them worked to get the ball back, because for all the great attacking ability they had, they worked their socks off getting the ball back in the opposition half of the pitch. But I don't want to get into that debate. But when they did keep the ball, and there are times when you do have to keep the ball, they kept the ball. They still kept it quick. It wasn't like what we're doing, which to me reminds me of the old Liverpool way of keeping the ball, in Dalglish. They kept the ball, but they could stifle a game to death, which is fine, because in those days you could stroke the ball around your back four, Anson and Lawrenson and Nickel and them. You could stroke it around your back four and wait for the opposition to break ranks. But when they did break ranks, they could just pass it back to Grobler and he could just pick it up. And make no bones about it, they were a great footballing team. But let's not make any bones about it. They were not afraid to pass it back to Grobler 30 times during a game. They could stifle a game to death. But we can't do that now. So when Dunkley, Iorfa, even Hutchinson is under pressure from these teams who are starting to press us because they've learned, because they're watching the videos and the analysis, they know we haven't really got that option. If we do give it back to Peacock, Farrell, Wildsmith, whoever, suddenly we've got a goalkeeper under pressure. I mean, goalkeepers are famed for these, using their hands. That's what they're all about. Yes, in, whatever. Hands. Their entire game is based around the hands. Our goalkeepers are spending a lot of time receiving back passes with a forward herring in on them. And what are they going to do? Well, they're being told to try and play it round them to full-backs. That's a dangerous game. Unless you're going to start putting sessions on where you're playing five-a-side and you're saying to keepers, right, don't go in there. Get it midfield in five-a-side. Because that's what they're going to have to do if we're going to continue doing this. There was a moment yesterday. And great, keep possession. Keep possession of the ball. You try and work an opening, it don't work out for you. But that's okay. Keep it. Work it out to the other side. Just wait. There will be a chance. There will be an opening. I get that. Totally understand that. That's great. Trevor Francis's teams used to do that very well. But We worked an opening at one side. It closed off a little bit for us. With about a yard outside their box, it ends up with Joe Wildsmith. Now, yes, don't give the ball away cheaply. Yes, don't aimlessly pump it into the box or whatever. Don't aimlessly pump it downfield. But to go from the edge of the opposition box back to our goalkeeper, by the time it comes back again, they've got 11 men behind the ball. For me, that's a great result yesterday. Do not get me wrong, that is a great result. Because I weren't really expecting us to get out from that game. Well, I sort of was, because that's typical Wednesday, to beat a team that's on a decent run and then next week lose to Cheltenham Town or whatever, you know what I mean. It's a great result, but I don't think it's a great performance. I'll not fault the lads, because I thought their endeavour was really good, especially the last half an hour. I thought they really had to dig in, and they were winning headers. Wildsmith comes, a couple of great punches. Like I said, I think Palmer were one of the picks of the bunch actually yesterday. But see, Gregory's got his goal, hasn't he? And he was so full of endeavour yesterday. But a lot of it, it's chasing shadows. But I'll not fault the lads' endeavour. And that was the same with the Wigan game. That was a game where we've won with endeavour and hard work and graft and desire and doing the ugly things well. And I come back to this thing of, do you want to be a creative, passing, footballing side, or do you want to be a hard side, a team that's hard to break down, that works its nuts off and grapples its way to points every week? Because at the minute, I think that's our way of getting our results. Now, I'd like us to be a blend of both, obviously. I'd like us to be a really hard working side, but a side that goes and attacks. But if you're not going to attack with pace, if you're not going to attack with movement, if you're not going to attack with creativity, if you're not going to attack with speed, then I'd rather be like, right, well, we'll just be tight and we'll nick 1-0. We'll be audible. And we'll soak pressure up and then we'll bully teams with balls on counter-attack. Because that's where a lot of our goals are coming from. It's like I don't know. I don't want Darren Moore sacked. This is a gospel truth, I don't. And I'll tell you why, because I'm sick of this managerial thing. It's every couple of years. Carlos, Joss, Bullen, Bruce, the two Steves, Neil Thompson, Monk. It just goes on and on and on. And when does it end? Because I feel like Wednesday are becoming a club with no identity, either on the pitch or off it. So, yes, stick with the manager. And I do actually think he's brought some good players in. There's little bits of them that you see and you think, yeah. And in my own mind, I can see a team forming in my own mind and thinking, well, he's good at that. And it's like a jigsaw thing. Oh, he's good at that. He can do this. He gives us that strength. He brings us that aerial ability. He brings us a natural balance on left. And in my mind, I can see a Wednesday team. And yet every Saturday, the team comes out and it's guesswork. Where's he playing? Is this 3 at back, 4 at back, 5 at back, 1 up front, 3 up front, 2 up front? It's fit. And when you're looking at those little things, those little attributes that players bring, and you're always looking how that can fit into the team dynamic, into the group, and you're looking then at little partnerships maybe down one side, or who's next to him on that side, who's next to him on that side, and do these things bring a nice balance to it? If it's a different player every week, you're changing that balance. Even if you're just talking about, just say for example, a bog standard 4-4-2. You've got 2 players in the middle of the park, right? It's not always simply a case of, right, we'll take him out and put him in. He's playing well, but he ain't, so take him out and put him in. Because he might not work with him. So, but that's what I think we're doing. I'm just seeing these changes all the time, and I just don't know. I just don't know. What is Sheffield Wednesday's identity? Well, some people are saying we ain't got one, but I think we have got one. I think Sheffield Wednesday's identity is a team that wants to play nice, very, very, very slow football with very little movement because we want to keep the shape. And that's it. I think that's what our identity is. A very, 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 very slow possession football team who don't look entirely comfortable at playing at half a mile an hour, but have so far got some decent results, often by being under massive pressure and having to play a direct ball to get them out of trouble, which has resulted in a goal. I think that's our identity. Now listen, if we get to the end of the season and that identity, as painful it is to watch and as nervous as it makes you to watch, if that gets us in the top three, great. But I think the club, the manager, whoever, has got to understand people will be frustrated watching this because nervousness spreads. Nervousness brings out other emotions in you. It brings out panic. It can bring out anger, frustration. So if it does well for us, this nervous style, great. I'm sure at the end of the season, everyone will be like, great, promoted, brilliant. But as soon as it don't go well, and there's every chance it's not going to go well, because you're giving away possession in cheap areas of the pitch, then you've got to understand that people will be frustrated and they will be angry and they will be upset. That's par for the course. Do you know what I mean? I keep hearing Wednesday fans aren't very patient, and to an extent we're not patient from game to game. We're not. But within that not being patient from game to game because we're not seeing something that we want to see, I think you've got to look at it in the wider context and say Wednesday fans might be a little bit short-fused in patience terms because we've had to show incredible patience over the last 20 years as our club has slid from one disaster to another. A club that regularly pulls in 20,000 fans finds itself in the third tier of English football, with one of the better squads in the third tier of English football, by the way, tip-tapping the ball around and giving it away in dangerous areas and gifting goal-scoring opportunities to clubs with still, despite us lowering our budget, but still clubs with a fraction of what we're able to spend on players and wages. If people think it's bad form to be frustrated by that or to get angry about that or it's showing a lack of patience, and when people are saying Wednesday fans need to be a little bit more patient, I can only think it's people who's got one of these conditions where they don't feel that emotion. Because when you're watching that nervous energy comes through to you. And if it doesn't, if you're just like that, then maybe get a job as a statistician or something, or because football is an emotive game, it's an emotional game, and you've got that connection, When you go to that ground that your dad's took you to, that his grandfather took him to. I mean, how many years are you going back? When you go in that ground, it's everything else as well. It's not just that team on the park, but the team on the park represents everything that means to you. Now, I get it that some people will just watch the odd game, and mainly they just play Sheffield Wednesday on FIFA, so they can be more objective about it, because I don't think maybe they feel it as much. But I know lads, I work with lads who've gone home and away, not missed a game for 30 years. So when they get told, well, you need to be a bit more patient, I think people who sit at home pontificating need to wind their necks in a little bit. I really do. Oh yes, this and that other. No. Because there's people stood there in the pissing rain watching it. You know what I mean? I think it's easy to sit there from your roof terrace. Oh yeah. Oh well, I've watched Wednesday. Yes, it wasn't great, but this sort of, and now I'm going to watch Dortmund, and now because people more this genetic football following that you get these days. But people stood in pissing rain and snow and stuck on a train for 4 and 5 hours. I think it's poor form for people to say they're not patient enough, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into a fans versus fans thing or whatever, but I think Wednesday fans have been incredibly patient over a 20-year window, and if from game to game they get frustrated because Wednesday insist on playing a way that makes them shit themselves in the stand, fair play. I think they've every right to be nervous, disappointed, and show a little bit of a lack of patience, or want some answers as to what we're trying to do. Because we have still got one of the better budgets in this division. We've got some of the better players in this division, and I think they're capable of a lot more than we're currently showing. This is going on, isn't it? I'll make a quick cup of tea and then I'll be back. So, the week as a whole, though, not a bad week for Wednesday. We're through to the next round of the Johnson's Pizza Papa John thing. Guaranteed, but irrespective of our result against Harrogate, we're guaranteed we're through to the next round of that. And I do think that's going to be a really useful competition for us now, because it's going to give people game time. And we keep talking about this gelling. Are we gelling? Maybe we've gelled. Maybe this is as well as we can gel with this style of football. But so I think that's going to be useful. We're more or less guaranteed to be through, unless we get pasted like 5 or 6-0 by Harrogate Town. We're through to that. We've got the win yesterday. I can't even say it's an ugly win. It was just a win, weren't it? But we've got a win and a clean sheet. That's great. That brings us up actually level with Bolton. So we've just got to play it by ear with that and hope. The bad news is Gibson, I quite like the look of at Mansfield, and he does bring that balance with him having a left foot. He's got an injury. Hutchinson's got an injury as well, so that's something to look out for. The good news is Loan goes back. Don't know if you've seen the training footage. He's back in training. Big smile on his face. Looks really happy and looks like he might be ready soon. So that's great news, because I think he's been a big miss in that midfield area, especially when we like to invite teams onto us to stop. The other news is Wednesday's signed up a partnership with Manchester United, and we're going to get Manchester United youngsters coming to us and training with us and training with our first team. And I thought, and then we might get first dibs on some of these players when they're going out on loan in the future. But I've been looking at this, and these are very young lads, and I get it from a Manchester United perspective. I think great, you're getting young lads out on loan. They're going to be training with the first team at a professional club. I mean, they're not going to be training with their first team. I mean, they've got players like Ronaldo and this and that. They've got a lot of first team players too. So they're going to come and do that with us. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not looking for a negative, by the way, because I'm sure having these sort of partnerships is good, because it keeps open dialogue between clubs. And then maybe if you do need some favours, because can we have him or him or him? I get that. That's great, and it's great that we're working in that way. But I think this is a deal where Manchester United and their young players benefit massively. I'm not particularly sure how it benefits Wednesday if none of these players end up being good enough to come here on, say, a permanent loan to be used in the first team. And if they're making up numbers in our first team training sessions, what is that not setting our own youngsters back who might be benefiting from coming up and training? I don't. Like I said, it's great that we've got working relationships with these clubs with vast resources and vast numbers of young players, because potentially we could get people in. But at the minute, and maybe it's a cynical mind, maybe it's because I'm being so busy at work, maybe it's because of the way things are, we're watching Wednesday and being frustrated and watching most of the games like this, doing that, oh God, oh no, don't invite it. Maybe it's that. Maybe mentally that's bringing me to this level of looking for things, but I do see that being a deal that benefits Manchester United far more than it'll benefit Sheffield Wednesday. But it's early stages. We'll see how that plays out. Instruction. So I'm just going back through my match notes from yesterday. Instruction or weakness? I've written. Instruction or weakness? I don't know what I even mean by that, instruction or weakness, but I've put 5 exclamation marks after it, so I must have been pretty serious about whatever that meant. Instruction or weakness? Maybe I was thinking about other players weak and not wanting to take chances with the passing, or is it their instruction to keep passing it backwards from edge of opposition 18-yard box? I don't know. Actually, it's quite wild, this writing. Yes. Courage. 3 exclamation marks, yes. Should he pull left wing back? It's a home win. It's a home win. It's a good week. Beat Mansfield. Beat Bolton. It's a good week. But I can just feel the nervousness in my back. It manifests itself physically when you're nervy. And honestly, I think Sheffield Wednesday is affecting my back health. Slow build up, no pace. Oh. Where are our assists coming from? Am I right in thinking our last 3 assists have come from our fullbacks? Hunt, Johnson, Robinho. Oh God, yeah. I would, yeah. I'm not even getting into why. I think that lad can consider himself very unlucky not to beat the team at weekend. Corbino, young, quick, attack-minded, wants to beat a man, wants to get at the opposition 18-yard box. Calm down, son. Calm down, son. Do you think you can get it back to Joe Wildsmith? No, we'll put somebody else in. Right, anyway. I'm going to see if I can finish sorting this leak out on this washer. Let me know what you think to the questions. With a chicken and egg, is it the team's job to get the fans going? How does that? I think so, but you might think differently. And are you happy with his style of play? Or would you rather... I mean, Pulis. Pulis, you see. People don't want to give Pulis a chance before he arrived. That's fair enough, because his style of football's not for everybody, I get that. And as soon as things were going, well, this is what you expect, but is this much better than Pulis? It's a different style. He was far more direct, but men behind the ball, very turgid, very hard to watch. But having plenty of ball now, but I would say our players are all stood in similar positions that they were when he was in charge, and that would just soak it in sea. So, different styles, equally frustrating for me. Monk, tap round at the back. Oh God. And then a big boot. Pulis, keep it tight at the back. Wait. Big boot. With Dad and more. Tap. Oh, we've lost possession of the ball at a dry own box. We go back to Joss. Tap. Lost it in our own box. So I think Dad and more reminds me more of Joss than Monk or Pulis. I mean, that's not a great credential to have, by the way, but I don't know. I just don't know. But like I said, through to next round, more or less a given now, and a win and a clean sheet. So that's all great news. This partnership with Manchester United, Luongo's back, so there are things to be positive about, you know. And sun's out, so I might be able to get a bit of washing online, you know. Living the dream. Anyway, sorry it's late anyway. Enjoy your Sunday, get out, have a drink. Try and forget about Sheffield Wednesday for a bit. That's actually probably the best way to enjoy Sheffield Wednesday, is to forget about them. Like a lot of these experts who say we're not patient enough do. And then they're off doing what they do. So, yep. Enjoy what's left of this. I might see for a preview. I'm not sure I'm going to do previews because they're a bit... I start getting excited with preview. Right, if we can do this and we can do that, and then team comes out. What? Is that one? And then the game starts. So I think that pre-match optimism is actually what makes me worse after the game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we can do this. We can stick it to the. Oh no! Oh God! But oh God! I think the pre-match previews that I'm doing are sort of like taking a drug, and then, you know, watching Wednesday at 3 o'clock on a Saturday is like having a massive come down in it. So we'll see. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully we'll get a result next week against Wimbledon. Oh, it's proper Wimbledon as well, isn't it? Not pretend Wimbledon. Oh God, John Fashional, Dennis Wise, God, they were an awful team, weren't they? Awful team then, but they got their own identity, haven't they? Everybody in that team knew what they were doing. That same 11 every week. Lottie Sanchez, Dennis Wise, Big Fashion, Alan Coke. Everybody in that team. Horrible to watch, but very effective. 4th division to top flight. It's amazing what you can do with that settled side and everybody knowing what the job is, isn't it? Stop it. Right, have a good week. See you later.